Welcome back to Producer's Toolbox. I'm your host, Carole Adrienne, and today we have a really special guest. I don't know of anybody who hasn't at some point thought, oh, I would love to make a movie. I mean, it looks like fun. It looks like a lot of work, but it also looks like, getting to work with cool gear and equipment. It can be very glamorous when you get to the red carpet. So our very special guest today is my friend Kevin Hackenberg, and Kevin is an actual motion picture producer, director, and cinematographer. He's one of those rare people with an array of talents from technical to artistic. You could probably make the whole thing himself if he had to. And he's also kind of descended from Hollywood royalty in that he did his apprenticeship under famous Hollywood directors Night Shyamalan and Jonathan Demme. Hey, Kevin, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me. Super happy to be here. Wow. When people read back your, resume to you, it's fun to hear them embellish it as much as I do.
I didn't even I just went from the facts.
I learned, the bio says, I apprenticed under them. Really, I was started my career as a technician and just had these amazing opportunities to learn from everybody I worked with, from directors like Night Shyamalan, Jonathan Demme on their sets. I'd carry some sandbags, and when they would call action, I would just go into learning mode. I would pretend I was going to school, do a little hard work, and then go to school as you watch the other creatives do their thing.
It's true. I mean, there are so many. It's such a complex process that even paying attention to the parts that you are not particularly responsible for helps you with the part you are working on. I'm looking forward to it today because I thought you took a dream and have made it reality. And so I'd like to hear any advice or encouragement you have for any of us out there working on the same thing. But I thought, let's start with the glamour part and work backwards. Let's talk about, now you had a recent red carpet premiere. So let's tell us about that red carpet, please.
Yeah. So very lucky. So my trajectory started as a technician, moving towards cinematography, and that led to directing. And when you're directing and you want to get things done, you start producing. And then when you start producing, you're like, how do I build opportunities for me to direct more or for me to create more? And you start learning it's a team sport. It's a huge team sport. So a few years ago, loving comedy, when I direct, a lot of times it's comedy, it's other genres as well. But for the comedy, I created this nonprofit called Funny and Amen. And from there, we get a couple donations in every month, and they kind of stack up. And it allows me to kind of take that and produce something or partner with some other producers. So I was very happy to partner with John Giordano and Dennis Gente, who were making a great little short film, 30-minute short, called Another Man's Trash. When I read the script and saw their pitch video for their fundraising efforts, I was really impressed with their craft as actors / producers, as writers, and the script seemed to fit the niche that Funny and Amen is trying to raise money for and produce. So we jumped on early on to help them raise some money, and then at the end help them finish by coming alongside to finish post, do a bunch of their artwork, and then put on a show, get the movie out there, get the story out there like we all want to do. So we ran a red carpet. It was my first time producing a red carpet, and it's so interesting producing films and then going into producing events. Totally different. It's like, imagine everything is art department and there's this little bit of technical that has to be perfect. So the art department, we had the red carpet and the red velvet stanchions, posters everywhere, sponsor thank you posters, step and repeats, a VIP room. We did it pretty well. I thought. Had a lot of people that said that they felt like the event was on par with the excellent films that we presented that night, including Another Man's Trash.
Where was it held?
So we held it at my church in South Philly. It's called City Life Philly. It's pretty close to the Penrose Diner. And if you know Philadelphia, I'm not sure where, I assume this is a Philadelphia-based audience, but, who knows who else is watching this. And my church has been super supportive of my journey into promoting comedy and Funny Name Ends journey, really, to make a nonprofit that's really about spreading joy and not being like preaching in any way, but just kind of like getting us to connect in ways to kind of like, just kind of like bring people together and saying, hey, it's kind of funny. We have all these differences, different beliefs, different political ideologies, different, way we look at ourselves, way we look at others. If we can get together and laugh, the mission of Funny Men is get together and laugh, and then talk about how similar we are, and to laugh at our differences. So that's really the goal there. And so it was a great place. The church is really modernized, stage, lighting, smoke. So it was a great place to host a premiere, I think.
It sounds like, you mentioned something really important about connection. And I would say one of the things when I got into this business that surprised me the most was that it was teamwork and that I loved it. And I really had not, between art and sports, I had always done individual work. And so being part of a team was, I never thought I would love it so much. And you get to work with other people who are really good at what they do. You don't have to be good at every single thing. And I don't know, it's so exhilarating, kind of, and to bounce ideas off other creative people or learn from other technical people. I never thought that one of my favorite parts would be that teamwork aspect of it.
Yeah, I say that film is a team sport. Early in my career, I love images, and right out of college, I had this decision to make to go into like fine art and commercial photography, or go into cinematography, which later led me into directing and producing. But it was really the camaraderie, the teamwork, being on a movie set, like being at summer camp. You make a ton of friends. You have these amazing experiences that lead to stories. And I guess that's really kind of where I discovered my love for story. My father was a great storyteller, still is. And there was so much excitement and fun. And sometimes someone's written a script, presented that, we're all geared together to produce that. But some of the best stories are happening behind the scenes as well.
It's true. Well, so you had read the script for Another Man's Trash,
yeah,
and realized like these were people that you guys were going to be good working together. So what happens next? Once you say, yes, it's a great script, let's do it. What are the next steps that it takes?
I would say, in my experience of collaborating, especially, if you're collaborating at the levels of, crew, even as high as maybe a cinematographer, you pass your work on. Even as an editor, you pass your work on to the producers, to the director. But collaborating at the director and producer levels, executive producer levels, I think that you need to really kind of start from the beginning. What are our goals? And let's write down every single goal we have. Those goals have to be financial. They have to be creative. They have to be like, in terms of like, where is it going to go? How are we going to get it out there? Because I think that so many people on the producer level have different goals, and a lot of conflict happens. A lot of that relational conflict that we were just a minute ago, we were saying we enjoyed, can turn into really hard, painful relationship issues, because people are they're heading, 5 degrees apart, but over the course of a long project, it's miles apart. And I think that that is really important. I think over the years, making mistakes of my own, having people, what you thought were on your, same trajectory, realizing they were slightly different and having to be like, suck up your ego and be like, go along for the ride because you're tied to them. Your money's tied to them. Your art is tied to them. It's really important, I think, to sit down early, slow down the process, and write out your goals. So I think that in my working as one of the 5 or so producers on Another Man's Trash, I was pretty good about writing out my goals for my initial investment of time and resources. And then when we came back around again to the end and the screening, I think I was good about kind of articulating and slowing down the process. It's very difficult. We're all artists. We all want to, show our work on the screen, but it's really important to kind of like verbalize and put in writing those goals and be very serious about listening to the goals of the people you're going to collaborate with, because one person's goal might be to show it to the world by a certain deadline. Another person's goal might be to like wait and get a return on the financial investment. Another person's goal might be that they are the leading, that they are forward and most prominent in the piece artistically. And so I think you just got to make sure that you understand your collaborators' goals and make sure you can achieve them so that they feel that they've enjoyed working with you as much as you feel like you've enjoyed working with them.
Wow, you just taught me something. I never thought about writing down those goals at the beginning of a project. I've been lucky in that so many people I've worked with have been far more experienced than I in various ways. So I've always felt like I'll take an idea to somebody else. And this is the part I love about collaboration. Then they have another idea that makes it better. So yeah. I guess I've dealt with some pretty even-tempered people, fortunately, but but you're right. Now I have been on projects, bigger commercial kinds of things, where I found it was essential to have a meeting with the entire crew every day. Like, let's make sure we all have the same goals. But I didn't think about writing that stuff down. Thank you. That is you're right. The more organized you are with a film or television project, the better off you're going to be.
And obviously that we all know getting a good call sheet, knowing where to show up and having the address be accurate is perfect. But I think especially early on in those situations, when you start investing lots of time, your valuable creativity, you start investing money that you've either earned or borrowed or has been lent to you to donate, like in the case of Funny and Amen. I think it's really important to kind of just articulate a funny story from the early days of my nonprofit, Funny and Amen. You assume we're going to make comedy film. And there was a director in California that I got to know online, and we just had the similar sensibilities. And he made all his work was comedy. And he went to do one of these, quick turnaround film projects. And so I had raised a couple hundred, maybe a couple $1,000s. I can't remember what the exact amount was at the time. And I just lent him. I said, hey, from Funny and Amen's coffer, I want to get Funny and Amen's credit in your next film, just as a kind of a litmus test about how we can work together. So I sent him a check from our nonprofit, and I called him 3 days before the shoot. And it was one of these, weekend 48-hour film festivals or something like that. I called him a few days before the shoot. I was like, so how is it? Is it funny? Is the script funny? And he's like, well, we decided to do a drama. And I was like, okay, lesson learned. I don't know if I want, you can keep the money because it's already committed, but don't put Funny and Amanda's name in the credits because it's the wrong branding. We can't, we want to stick to this path we're on. So it's interesting. You got to have goals for yourself. For me, I'll do a drama, I'll direct a drama, shoot a drama, produce a drama, no problem. But for you and the entities you create, it's good to have those goals and have them wrangled in so you can, have that brand, whether it's your personal brand as a filmmaker or your company brand, have it go further because you have your goals written down and aligned, and you can choose your how to collaborate with people or not.
It's true. And in this particular business, one is really better off collaborating because you can't be good at every single thing. You may be a great director, but maybe you're not a composer. So it really does require a lot of diplomacy and tact. And I guess the bigger the production, the more diplomacy and tact is going to be required. But what happens? Like, if you want to use Another Man's Trash as an example, when you go to shoot live action, how does that go down?
In terms of, for this example, I don't quite understand the question.
I'm sorry. When you went to shoot the live action for the actual footage for this film, were there exteriors, interiors? How did you line that up?
So Another Man's Trash was filmed here in the Philadelphia area. I believe it was over 5 days. Some exteriors in Center City, some interiors in Center City and out in the suburbs, and then one main location out in the suburbs. My particular role in that was that Funny and the Men came on as an executive producer in the beginning. And like I said, from the money we're raising, was able to kind of contribute toward the project financially. And then my corporate company, Get Kinetic, was able to offer them some services as well. So I wasn't on set for all 5 of those days because they had already had another producer who was handling the day-to-day operations lined up. I came on as an advisor with some of the fundraising, and then also, came out to do some behind-the-scenes interviews with the talent. John O'Hurley from Seinfeld was on it, as well as our 2 producers, John Giordano and Dennis Gente. As well as Kimberly Skirm was one of the producers. She's a great casting director out of the Maryland, Baltimore, D.C. area. And so they kind of had the production lined up. And when we got into post, the kind of the baton handed back to John and Dennis, who were the lead actors in it, but also the lead producers and the writers. And they took it in to work with the editor. And by the end, they were looking for help getting it mixed. So I came on as a more active producer on this project in post-production to bring them connections to get it some sound design, sound editing, ADR, and composing done. And the final, our editor did the final color correction. So we did final titles and then a couple other things. And then I took it from there. And I've got so much experience producing. I'm learning about the distribution side and what it takes to kind of put projects out there. So it was my goal on this project to come up with the posters and work with a poster artist. Really great. I think the poster turnout is so amazing. We're all very excited about how that looks, conveys
they are beautiful, the posters.
Yeah. And then my goal was, as an emerging filmmaker into the distribution world, to run the red carpet, run some tests for my films about social media marketing, which we created like 15 different reels to put on Instagram. And we generated, nearly 10,000 views, 10,000, more like, I think 7,000. I'm learning marketing now. That's my new kind of like, as I look to get my films out there in the world, I'm looking to learn marketing a little more. So I believe we got about 7,000 individuals and 14,000 impressions. So that means like 7,000 people watched it about 2 to 3 times each. And my marketing guys tell me that's not accurate. So maybe somebody watched it 6 and a bunch of people watched it 1 time. So I'm just still I'm learning about marketing and learning about that. So that was my goal in kind of taking on this role was to learn on this short film how to apply those rules to the feature films and stuff that I'm developing now.
Wow. Well, let me rewind a little bit to post-production. To anybody who is thinking about getting into filmmaking or content creation requiring filmmaking. So post-production is what happens after you've shot all your footage. The editing, I love post because it's magical. That's really when things can happen or not happen if you're not, yeah. But you can shape the story in post-production in incredible ways. Do you like that part of it?
Carole, I got to say we just rebranded my commercial company, Get Kinetic, and now it's called GK.video, and our title is Motion Plus Magic. And because it is capturing the motion is where I started my career with cinematography, aerial, underwater, all these ways of kind of beautiful lighting and movement of the camera, Steadicam, all that kind of stuff. But post-production is where that magic happens, where you put two shots together and then flip them around and it makes a different kind of story, or put them on screen at the same time. The Brady Bunch wouldn't be the Brady Bunch if it wasn't for all 9 squares, right? If it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it wouldn't have. The visual language is created in the camera at first, but then it's perfected. It's turned into magic in the editing, in the post-production. So yeah, we love that. We just brought on a new post specialist, Mustafa Ali, and he is out of James Madison University and just doing amazing work for us the last 7 weeks, putting together our latest demo reel and working on our trailers for our latest film. I personally cut the Another Man's Trash trailer, but Mustafa took that and a bunch of other things and created our 15 social media reels to market our event.
Wow. You've really taken it to a pretty serious professional point. I was going to say, what advice? Well, I'm sure it was a lot of hard work and you don't get there instant. There is no instant.
Big kudos to my producing partners, Dennis and John, who have really high levels of what they will accept. And I think that's where, back to that teamwork, you need a lot of patience for each other, because we all are trying to do Hollywood level work. And it takes a lot of creative minds and a lot of patience to get these projects done to that level. So,
and to a bar that's set that high.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that when you're trying to really reach a very high bar point with it, and why shoot for anything lower? But I wanted to ask you what you would say. I run into an awful lot of people and students who want to make a film, even a short film. And, they've got maybe 3 or 4 friends involved, and somebody knows camera and somebody knows sound. In terms of starting out small, do you have any words of wisdom for filmmakers of any age?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we modeled with Funny Name Men, and, again, I wasn't the one producing Another Man's Trash, and it felt like the right kind of project to be part of. We had John O'Hurley attached, which will help, spread it in a good way. And it was quality. It was high quality. But one of the things I've been looking to do with the shorts that we're producing, more regularly, is to keep the page count down. Come in with a 5 to 10 page. I would recommend 5 page, maybe 5 to 6 or 7 page script, properly formatted, so it's actually 5 minutes or so, and really try to do a project you can shoot in a day. And then that keeps your budget way down and allows your crew to expand, to get lots of creatives that you might not be able to afford, but they're looking to kind of expand their demo reel do something new and innovative. And so I think that keeping the project short and sweet and very focused can help you, shoot in one day. Again, keeps your budget really low, and then go right into post. Maybe even right on that the next day, bring in an editor and just say, I just want you for one day to put this together. And I think you'll learn a lot that way, because I've seen some filmmakers that have shot full feature films, and they'll call me back in a couple months and they're like, yeah, we're going back to shoot our second feature film. I'm like, what happened with the first one? And they're like, well, we haven't edited that one yet. And I get, when I heard this, I was like, you don't know what you don't know the second time, because you haven't taken the time to like really in the editing. Not only do you create magic, but you also learn so much about what you did wrong in the last film. So that's how you keep going further and further. So I would say do a lot of shorts and truly make them short.
I think that's great advice, because it becomes more doable. And there are, I'll bet Steven Spielberg and tons of Hollywood directors started out like, with a little box camera and made shorts when they were 12 years old. So it's a great way to learn. And I recommend too, if you get involved with your local public access cable stations, sometimes there's a lot of opportunity and studio time, a great way to learn. But wow, I hope you'll come back and talk to us again when you finish this next piece. Now you're working with Gary Busey.
Yeah. So in Funny Man's really excited. I'm really excited to produce our first feature film. And again, keeping it short, we decided that for the last few years, we've been taking over April Fool's Day and making making content, doing a live stream. And this year we decided to make a piece of feature-length content. It was originally going to be a play, and we decided, I brought in a director, Jordan Scott Gilbert, and he was like, let's lean into how bad it's going to be to do a feature-length piece of content in a day. And so we went for a movie like The Room or Plan 9 from Outer Space, The Disaster Artist, Borat, and we decided to cast big for an online role. And so we have Academy Award nominee Gary Busey doing his typical overacting, and it's perfect. It's the perfect amount of entertainment for our first feature called A Rite of Passage: Murder at the Lake House.
Well, please come back when you're ready to release that and take us through that journey, which sounds incredible. Thank you so much, Kevin. I always enjoy having you on the show, because the depth of your knowledge is pretty deep. So please join us again next time on Producer's Toolbox and take a look at Kevin's work online, Funny and Amen, and Get Kinetic, GK Video, and we will visit with him again. Thank you.
Morning, Red. That was my only water.
You could be in luck. Looks like rain.
Take your money.
Don't need it. I'll see you later, bud.
Well, smart guy, I hope you didn't forget the big dinner tonight.
This area's getting cleaned up by the city.
So the Lindenwood contract.
I've been working on it all month. The plan is first to butter them up tonight. I personally hired Chef Paul for the evening.
What do you mean, don't panic? Where am I gonna find a chef in 3 hours? That looks like a Wellington.
It's because it is.
This is like an episode of Homeless Steel Chef.
Remember the homeless guy I was telling you about? You said, be nice.
I hear you've hired Chef Paul for us this evening.
Chef Paul couldn't commit for tonight. Fortunately, we found someone just as talented.
Wasn't aware of the change of plans.
Yes, Daddy, what's your point?
Remember, you look bad, I look bad.
We'll put you in the mail room. You can organize, break down boxes.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I don't do boxes.
You live in one.
It's a low blow.